Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's Textile Talk. I am Martha Seelman. I'm the Executive Director of Studio Art Quilt Associates, and we are one of the organizations who put on Textile Talks. So Studio Art Quilt Associates, or SAQA, is a membership organization. We promote the art quilt as a fine art, and we invite you to consider joining us, and especially because coming up at the end of this month is our conference, which will be online. So you can join us from anywhere in the world. And if you can't join us live, you will have access to the recordings. So this is sort of the final push to register for the conference. We're going to have amazing speakers. We're going to have student panels. We're going to have museum professionals talking about exhibiting art quilts in the museum. We're going to have wonderful keynotes talking about amazing fiber art. And we'd love to have you join us and be part of our community during the conference. So please go to SAQA.com/virtual, because the conference will be online. It will be a virtual conference, and register now. So today, we have an unusual experience for you as we have been expanding Textile Talks to include people from all around the world. One of the things that we sometimes run into is problems because of different time zones. So today's guest artist, Ian Berry, lives in the UK, but right now he's in Germany, setting up some of his work in an exhibition in a museum in Osnabrück. So the museum is only open until 6 o'clock local time, and now it's 8 o'clock local time. So we recorded it earlier when he could show you one of the pieces that is in the museum as part of his talk. And I've asked him a couple of questions towards the end of his presentation, but it means that he's not able to be with us here live today. However, as he says at the very end, if you have questions, post them in the chat or in the Q&A, and we will save that and send it to him and then share his answers with you. One of the things that he doesn't talk about, which I know so many of us want to know, is how does he make it? And all I can tell you is that he is mounting his denim on a stretched denim canvas. So it's denim on denim. It is cut and glued, but not stitched. In some cases, he's got 15 or 16 layers of denim. So there's no way that he could stitch, but that's not part of his artistic view in any event. But it is, because of all those layers, it is very sculptural in a low relief kind of way. And he's using some kind of industrial wood glue to make it all stick together. So he's going to be talking to you about a number of different things, sharing a number of different videos about him and his work. I have a couple of questions that I'll be asking him at the end. But towards the end, he's asking all of you to help him with a project that he's currently working on, which is called Legends of Denim, where he's looking for the iconic people that you think of when you think of people wearing blue jean jackets, etc. And so he's created an installation of, I think, around 30 or 50 people like James Dean, Marilyn Monroe, but he wants to expand that installation to incorporate people that you think of. So please go ahead and post your questions and your suggestions for his Legends in Denim installation into either the chat or the Q&A. And at the end of the presentation, we will replay the video that we were playing as you came in, which is based on the exhibition that he is currently having at the museum in Sweden. So you'll get to see that again. So sit back and enjoy. Hi, Ian. Thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to be with us here today to talk about your work. I know that right now you are coming to us from museum in Germany, and we can see your installation behind you. Where are you and what's the exhibition?
Well, at the moment I'm waking up and I have no idea where I am most days. So I'm actually in a city called Osnabrück in the northwest of Germany, and part of an exhibition which is on blue jeans, and behind is one of my installations. I've got another piece on the other side of the museum. It's a beautiful museum. So I'd also like to thank you for being very patient with me the last few months. I think I've written it to you from a different location every time. I mean, it's the beauty of what I do is that it's allowed me to travel so much. But this is actually my 8th exhibition in a foreign country since COVID started. And I'm absolutely shattered, and it's actually the last commitment I had. It's quite a relief to get it started and start planning the next things, because I've refused everything so far. As we all know, it's difficult. Ironically, I keep saying no to Zoom lessons. Not lessons Zoom, but the lessons of talks. And throughout the pandemic, I had real life things. And each time it was always, it's so good to see everyone in real life. And I was like, hang on a second. So I'm very, very confused now. Things are opening up when people are, because 2 years I've been busier than ever. So yeah, I'm here in Germany. And every time I do a talk, often to students, I often say something at the end, but I'm going to say at the beginning. I think everything good what's happened to me as an artist and as a creator has been hard work and luck, but also the help and the push of other artists. So I'm going to do that right now because I think I'm going to show you a little thing where I was this morning with a artist who I think you all know, probably Claudia Feil down in Germany. I've traveled 3 hours on the wrong train today to get here from her studio, and I stayed with her, and I knew she was doing a project for Ukraine, but I was amazed at what happened. So maybe Lucy can play the first video.
Great.
Guten Tag from Germany. This is this morning. So this morning, we're now in the afternoon in Germany, but I'm here in Claudia Feil's studio. And, when I thought about like what to do on the talks, and like what I want to say is, I normally say this to the end on talks, is that artists should help each other and support each other and always call each other out and say things about each other. I met Claudia many years ago and we became really good friends, often over some wines. And many of you will know her. She's got many rosettes and won many awards. I myself just recently have been in 4 different countries in the last 2 months and been rushing around. And as we all know, the world's a very different place at the moment. Many people wanted to do like amazing things and just wanted to do something. Claudia did that, and kind of by accident. Some of you might know, but she did a call out to get some squares to make some quilts for the Ukrainian children who have fled from the war, from these horrible things we've been seeing on the TV. I've been overwhelmed the last few days. I came to visit Claudia and I found out that she didn't get just 100 what she hoped for. She's got over 10,000, and each morning I've been here the last 2 days, boxes have arrived from all over the world. And we've been opening them, and it's like really touching. And one thing I want to say is this textile community and the quilting community is a community. So let's just have a look. This is Claudia. Say hi.
I am busy. Okay.
And if we have a little walk around, there's some of the quilts already made, many of the squares, and it's quite scary how many are here. Some of you on this call probably have sent some. And I think it's just really important. I want to share this with you because it's quite overwhelming how much work she's doing, and for all the right reasons. And perhaps I'm making her life a little worse because she's very, very committed. She's getting so many squares, and she feels like she has the responsibility to turn this into something really important now. So if any of you send some, make sure you put it down as value $1 or less, otherwise she gets taxed quite a lot. But it has made me think about the material that I'm using, ever since this happened, because I'm using jeans, and we've been talking a lot about that actually. But if you think of jeans in the current situation, I think many of us have forgotten what they actually stand for. And perhaps I'll go back to the installation in the museum and say a few things about that. So, are we back now? Can everybody hear me? So I was going to go on and talk about what jeans means, but I think it's only fair to give Claudia a platform, and she'll spend a couple of minutes just saying what she's did. I recorded it today and became quite emotional. So perhaps Lucy, you can play the second and final video there.
When I heard about the war in the Ukraine, I was shocked like everyone else, and I thought I have to do something. And the only thing I can really do is piecing and quilting. And I was thinking about a blue-yellow quilt to donate this special quilt to a refugee here. I posted it on Facebook. I asked for 100 blocks, 100 squares of a specific size. Now I'm at the number of 10,000. That means 500 quilts minimum to work on.
And how does it make you feel inside to have that communication with so many people around the world, but also to give that and share that to the actual people who are receiving them?
I'm totally amazed on all levels. I'm amazed about the help and the support from all over the world: Taiwan, Singapore, Australia, New Zealand, Canada, USA. I'm totally overwhelmed, and I'm kind of flooded with the blocks. And yeah, we are organizing now kits out of those blocks and making them to kits which are sent to quilters who are sewing for us. I have helpers who are quilting for me, and we are giving the quilts to the refugee children here in Krefeld first, but probably it will be spread out at all. And it's amazing to see the help, the willing to support us. And the most beautiful thing is to see, and I'm getting goosebumps right now, to see the moms and the children receiving a quilt like that. We made a description, so we don't speak Ukrainian language, so we made a description in Ukrainian language so the recipients can read right away what they're holding in their hands.
Well, I think we all think you're absolutely brilliant, and
No,
well
it
done,
was
and
spontaneous.
congratulations. And we all know that you did it for the right reasons, and I know you have a massive big heart, and massive well done.
Thank you.
So I think you see there, like, I hope you don't mind me adding that. I know you've come in here to see me, but you start realizing there's a lot more things going on in the world which are a lot more important than this. So, as I said in the little speech there, it made me think again about what denim means. A lot of you over there in America, and
you know, denim, I think of denim, I think of America, I think of America, I think of denim. But it's more than that. It's freedom, it's democracy. It does stand for the West. You know, and over time, like, I think when, you know, people younger than me, especially when they put the jeans on, they don't think about these things. And have we taken for granted freedom, democracy, all these things? And you see in the world right now, it's tough. Having said that, you know, we are in Germany here. When the Berlin Wall came down, it was very noticeable that everybody was wearing blue jeans. It was actually very symbolic. Turned that around in Russia, it was banned, and in Belarus, it was banned, and people wear it still to this day in protest and dissent. Having said that, my work over the last nearly 2 decades has not really touched on, you know, what is my medium. It is just my medium. It's my pain. I do say I'm like, you know, creating things from contemporary life, and I don't believe there's more contemporary material than denim jeans. It's amazing material, but it has the duality, both the good and the bad, which I really, really struggle with. But I see denim as a very urban fabric. I'm interested in urban life, you know, full, rich layers of cities, and I think it's a really, really strong material now. But I'm also obviously aware of the downsides, which are, you know, the environmental issues, and you know, you see behind this installation is very much to do with environmental issues, climate change, the effect of denim on the environment. I often say, if you know, I've been brought into the denim industry quite a lot, and I'm quite concerned. You know, if I knew the people that I knew in the food industry as I do in the denim industry, I don't think I'd actually eat. So I've actually like have a very love-hate relationship with the material at the moment. And as I said, I've been in different countries at the moment and a little bit all over the place. But just a few weeks ago, I was in Chile, where I ended up going to see a massive big mountain of clothes, which is, you know, from America, from Europe, from the United Kingdom. And it was really, really breathtaking to see how much clothes are just dumped there in the desert. So I might show something of that later on. I'd like to think I'm quite a shy person. So we've put something together where maybe I can introduce myself, because some people on this might have no idea who I am. For some other people to tell you and kind of explain my story. So in my technical skills, I will try this.
Berry.
I'm Ian Berry.
Just Ian Berry. News still to come. We'll be talking to one of Britain's leading young artists.
Ian Berry.
Ian Berry.
Ian Berry.
I'm Ian Berry.
Just Ian Berry.
Ian Berry.
Ian Berry.
Ian Berry.
رجلا بريطانيا.
Artista británico Ian Berry.
Ian Berry es el creador del movimiento artístico Art in Denim.
Now, old jeans are usually what we throw on to do the gardening, fix the car, or even a spot of DIY. But for the
Artist Ian Berry.
From East London with a broad range of ability, as you can see behind me.
Jeans.
England. Helt unik konst.
Into intricate artwork.
He's created striking images of urban life.
Material masterpieces.
You have to be quite talented to do it though. Ian Berry.
Ian Berry lässt uns ausnahmsweise in sein blaues Künstleratelier.
Berry has at least 2,000 pairs here in his London studio.
To get up close is to appreciate the work that goes into these creations.
Well, this comes across on television.
With stitching and creases in every shade of blue.
And you really wouldn't think it was denim in the slightest.
At first glance, Ian Berry's works look like paintings. But look again.
But up close, you see that they're collages.
Hyper-realistic.
Made of hundreds of
jeans, jackets and other denim clothes.
It can take several weeks to create a collage like these.
Per aquest artista anglès, aquest material és la millor manera d'expressar com veu el món i abocar sentiments com la soledat, la intimitat i el neguit per la...
Ian Berry attire tous les regards et compliments.
Pour moi,
Genius.
fabulous.
They're absolutely stunning.
Super heftig konstnär.
Ian, només et diré que després de conèixer-te m'he cordat més fort al cint...
And the cameraman who filmed them said they really are quite incredible.
Então não vai morrer nunca o jeans. Olha, não tão cedo.
So I'm a little embarrassed now. It's very nice to hear those things, but it feels a little bit like strange to share them. because it's really strange for me, because in front of people that have seen my work in real life, I feel like a really good artist. I feel as proud as anyone. I'm really, I can stand tall. But people who've never seen a piece in real life, I don't even feel like an artist. It's such a bizarre thing. So if people see it on Instagram, in a magazine, even on TV, it's very strange. And the reaction is so different. So that's why I actually signed up for 2 years of museum shows, and then the pandemic hit. 8 shows, luckily 7 was across Europe, but we had Brexit as well, so all the shipping issues to do with that. I don't know how, in all the different worlds, in the textile world as well, how that's going to cope with going to Birmingham, for example, and all the issues of shipping, because it's been a nightmare. I haven't slept in a long time. So I said, my work there, sometimes it's presented as a little bit of a gimmick when it's on TV in a magazine, and I always try and stay away from that. And while people like, when I started, it was very much showing parts of the jeans, buttons, pockets, going, hey, look, it's jeans. But as the first few years progressed, I was trying to hide that it's jeans. And I think even now, like the photorealistic technique I've pushed, which takes me a long time, and finding each little piece is a little bit to hide that it's jeans. And it's great. I always joke that when I show in America over there, that people walk around the art fairs, like in Miami Basel and things, walk around, and there's so much, it's like a quilt fair or like a textile show. There's so much under a roof that people walk past, and then sometimes they'll walk past again and be like, look close. It's like, oh my God, it's made of blue jeans. And it's such a nice little aha moment. Like people say, oh, I really liked it, but I just thought it was a photograph. And then you come up close, but then people don't realize. And, this morning I spoke to Claudia about the quilting, and it's so hard to quilt jeans. Some of my pieces have 15 layers on them. So they're like really 3-dimensional and quite sculptural. So let's try and show a few. And I'm showing you videos because the stills of my work are not very good, because they present as being flat. So that was a body of work I started in 2015 called Behind Closed Doors. And it was actually like pre-noticing things that have happened in the last few years, that people are bringing people down quite quickly, and people who think are successful. And, my work's not just about being in jeans. I have a very dedicated craftsmanship to what I do, but I like to put ideas in my work. And this was a really good one, because people came into museums and sadly said like they could see themselves in it, and quite a few people on it recently have noticed that it's probably me. And it was like I was like flying around, meeting famous people, doing their portraits, doing these things, and like 1 minute you have a photo with them, but the next minute you don't, and you're flying around, but it's stressful and it sounds really good. But people started thinking like, oh, he's so successful, he is there to be shot down, this kind of thing. But I noticed that about other people. And these houses, if you see them, are really beautiful in London. You know, they're 3, 4, 5 million pounds worth of house, which is a lot. And it was designed to be like L decoration pictures, and in the magazines you don't have a person juxtaposed against it. Really kind of made quite a haunting picture. But this was a body of work I'm probably most proud of, because it was very much about I don't know, it really connected with people, and people had quite a strong emotion. But I think a lot of you guys actually like to know about the technical side as well. And you know, each body of work I start, I really like to do set a challenge of how to make denim shine. So, you know, with that is how do I think of artificial light from a lamp or the shiny tile surface of the floor, and I try and do it to make what you think is a dull material denim shine. So I find all the interesting bits of the jeans and put them together over such a long period and try and make it look not like jeans, but like a painting, but have this kind of really shiny thing. So like, you know, I used to do bars, polished surfaces, you know, Subway in America, metallic, laundromat, the shiny floor again, but also metal. So it's just like, you know, someone said it actually quite a few years ago, and it really made me think. It's like, Ian, you make denim shine. I was like, what do you mean? And then I started looking, and I was like, well, yeah. So the last big body of work I did was one called Hotel California, where again, I did the water scenes. So I was like, how do I portray water in jeans to make it look like it's not jeans, but make it look like water? So perhaps I'll show you that one. So I hope you can hear my voice over this. So this is actually not the whole body of work. This is one piece, and it's quite a large piece, and I wish I could work as fast as it's showing here. But it's showing like this kind of sizes of the piece, and you kind of see the shading, what's in it. There's no paint, there's no bleach, there's no dyes on it, there's no even sanding. It's just found bits of jeans. And there you can kind of see the 3D nature of it. I work non-stop for days, so like don't look at my greasy hair, and I go many days without showering. I live above my studio, so sometimes I just go very feral. And often when I get filmed working, it's just before a show or something when I've not had any sleep, so I always look terrible. And that's a really nice one to show the depth and the detail. You see there, like, rather if I just showed you a photo there, it becomes like almost like flat. But there you can kind of see the denim details. Normally when I show my studio, like you see there, a lot of my friends in the textile art world go crazy and just want to come and organize it. But it is a system. I have a system, I promise you. Right, I'm back. Yeah, so that one was almost like the flip side of the previous project, which was behind closed doors, because it was very deep for me, quite an emotional. It had been a tough few years for different reasons. And I went over to California and just loved the light, absolutely loved the light, and met some of my friends over there who are artists that I think all of you would know, and had a really great time. And it was just, I wanted to bring that light back into the studio, so I used brighter denim. I wanted to bring that light because it was coming into winter in London, and my studio is actually very dark without the lights on. And I really, really wanted to do that. So it was more of a happier body of work. But last year I finished one, and because of COVID, I ended up having no people in it. Which has been the kind of hero piece of this museum tour that I've been doing. So yeah, let's see what else I've got to show you. sorry, desktop. Share. I'll get rid of that. Yeah. So yeah, I do portraits as well. So I'll show you this one. So I did that piece, it's 2014, so it was 8 years ago, and I'm only able to speak about it around now. Not many of you will know, but that's Ayrton Senna, who was probably the most famous racing driver ever, and he died on my sister's birthday, 1st of May, 1994. So I was only 10. But I remember that day, and when I got asked to do the portrait, it was actually somebody said, "Oh, can you do a portrait of a Formula One driver?" I was like, "Well, that's not what I do. I don't do sporting art. It's not my thing." And they said, "Well, actually, it's Ayrton Senna," and the hair's stuck up on the back of my neck. And I'm saying this story because I hope, I don't know, I always imagine you guys as being really nice people, so I'm going to just go all in and say this story. And you know, he was symbolic as somebody, and I was always like, if I do a portrait, asked to do a portrait, it's like, why Denim? What's the connection? And he was really symbolic of the people of Brazil. People look up to him. When I went down there, it was incredible because there's, you know, I don't want to be offensive to anybody, but there's God, there's Pele, and there's Ayrton Senna. And people were just, and trust me, in Brazil, God and religion is very high, so it's not to knock that. It was absolutely incredible, the feeling, the emotion, but what he represented to Brazilians. He was the only person who would wave the Brazilian flag proud, and that really meant a lot of people. It meant a lot to people. And you know, he was a three-time champion, but he was a really good person. Tried to do a lot of charity work in the background. So I ended up going down to Brazil. I made it out of his family's material, which was, you know, quite important because they're the ones who were carrying his legacy. But I felt the pressure of such a famous person to do something really good. I got down to Brazil and we got to the offices of the charity of which bears his name, and we got a call, and it was somebody representing Ayrton's mum, and that she wanted to come down and see it, and was like, well, it's not open and we've not got it out of the crate yet. But a few minutes later, then she turned up with her entourage, and she's an amazing lady who had this team of people around her. And, you know, she's revered, I always say, a little bit like the Queen Mum in England. And she came in, and I actually said, oh, well, actually, please could you leave a room, because I wanted to get it out and lighting, because my work 3D, you really need to light it at a certain angle, because otherwise you get the shadows on the work. And I think there was a few looks thinking, God, who's this guy asking Ayrton's mum to leave? But she went out, and then she came back in. And I can't believe I'm saying this story, actually. She came in, and she could see it from a distance first. And then she came and spoke a little bit. We had a translator, and she hugged me. And then the translator was saying that it's the first time that she's seen Ayrton, you know, everything correct. I know that sounds strange, but the eye is correct, the nose correct. It actually looks like him, which was, you know, nice, because you're always nervous about showing a family member, because that's somebody who knows somebody's face more than anybody and sees them differently. And then something else happened, and, you know, I forgot. I think I just said she hugged me, and the people behind gasped a little bit. But then she said all this, but she hugged me again, and I think that the translator completely forgot to translate, and I didn't pick up on anything what was going on, but it was a very emotional moment. And I got talking to some other people. It was just a really nice moment. But the next day I got talking to a lady who turned out to be her sister-in-law. And she goes, we're sat actually looking at more photos of Ayrton to do more work from. And she goes, do you actually know what happened yesterday and what she said? I said, yeah, it's the first time that she's seen a good portrait of Ayrton, and you can see the eyes, everything's correct. And he has a kind of like detail under his eyes where everybody misses. And she goes, well, yeah, but no, it was more than that. She said it was the first time in 20 years that she felt like Ayrton was alive again. And I kind of gasped. And then she goes, and all she wanted to do in that moment was to hug Ayrton. So she hugged you as if she was Ayrton. And now that's like a really like powerful thing. And that's what makes you feel like amazing to be an artist, to have that connection, to bring that back and to have that emotion is incredible. And I want to share that story because I've had so many highs and lows since doing this. This was the both extreme of both, because that picture's now stolen. So I've told you all that, and beautiful memories and things, but that's been stolen, and it's really quite hard, but I'll leave that one there. I also want to show that I'm quite an emotional person, and I'm going to show a next thing. I've got a little boy, he's 8. During the pandemic, he started as being 6. And forgive if it's a bit of a long video. Maybe you wanted to learn about how I do things, how I do this, but I wanted to share this. And it's because, we're coming out of this pandemic. Elliot, my son, actually has COVID right now. In fact, all my family and extended family have COVID right now in England because, no one's wearing masks, no one cares. I'm here in Germany, we're all wearing masks. Let's not get into a mask debate. I'm just going to represent that some people are still treating it as a thing, others are not, whatever. But 2 years ago, it was a very strange period. And I was actually supposed to start these 8 shows in foreign countries. I did lose one, that was in England, ironically. So I wanted to just get my head down, work in isolation, and not trying, I don't want to say this, but get on the bandwagon of doing this. I just wanted to focus. By accident, me and my son did a project, so I'll share that with you.
We were told to wash them, to not greet with them, but what did we do? We clapped. We must remember that first night. We kept explaining to my son and tell him who we were clapping for. Like his auntie and our friends. From then he forever asked,
Is it Thursday today?
He loves to draw, and he made a rainbow and he sent it to his grandma, but he wanted to make more art. We decided to make a pair of clapping hands. He even took a photo of mine, and then he sat with me while I made them. Sometimes pretended to be Joe Wicks. I animated them, and then Elliot said, can we put it under? An idea was born, and each day he'd wake up and get so excited about seeing a new projection.
Clapping hands. It started as a simple gesture, a mark of gratitude, to say thank you to those making a difference and the amazing things they do. We were told to wash them often, but not to use them to greet or to hug. So what we did was even greater. We clapped as loud and as hard as we could. And our clapping became a symbol of communities uniting in a battle against the enemy, the invisible virus we were fighting. The clapping became so loud, it ricocheted around the globe, a universal language of strength and of thanks and of hope. And so our clapping hands applauded from every city and every town. In a show of unity, we would not be beaten down. The virus would be defeated, a historic period in time, and we'd celebrate with clapping hands for our heroes on the front line.
So there's no more clapping, but we still can be thankful. We might not clap for, but we can think for. Me and Elliot and all of us think of all those who lost their grandparents, their parents, friends and family, neighbours, people who have not seen each other for a long time. We think of those who are still out working, battling this. We ask the question, who do you clap for? It's not over. We think of those who have lost their jobs. The industry's shattered, the hopes seemingly gone. But we came together as communities, and that's what we have to do. We looked after our neighbours and supported our elderly. This became a community of many different projectionists who were friends. They're the story here. It lit them like beacons all throughout Britain, with that sole desire to do something good, no matter how small it was. And we became friends. It went as far as Italy, France, Australia, Sweden, Mexico City and Colombia, Brazil, in the USA like North Carolina, New York. 20 other artists joined me, and Elliot, who wants to clap alone. We live in a world that made the court jesters kings. They're not the people that I want Elliot to look up to. So let's not now forget who we clapped for. We have to remember the good of it. It engaged our children to see who the new heroes are, who they always should have been. And all we were doing is saying thanks to them. And now it must be done in other ways.
Wow.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, I'm all teared up. That was, yeah, what a wonderful project, and so great to see you engaging Elliot in creating something that traveled all over the world to thank the people that brought us through the worst of the horrible situation of the pandemic.
I think it's easy for us to forget all that and what happened as we come out, and like a lot of us don't look back and have that moment. I didn't watch that video. I made it probably 18 months ago. I watched it about 2 weeks ago. I did another lecture and I actually brought it out, and halfway through I was like, what am I doing? It's long. Like, I started like in the memories, but I was like, oh God, people are going to be bored. People are going to be like, oh, we don't want to talk about the pandemic. But I thought I'd share this because I think it's important. It's 2 years on to look back and to think of this, but it's also like to everyone listening as well. It's like how we can do things as artists, because let's remember, like in the first few weeks of lockdown, they said that artist was the least important profession, which is complete nonsense. But with these things, we're not changing the world like the doctors I know. But it shows, sometimes how to think outside the box. That happened by accident. But it's like what Claudia's doing at the moment. She just wanted to do something. If she set out to think, right, I want to do something amazing, get every person in the world to send me yellow and blue squares, it wouldn't have happened. But because she's so nice and people really wanted to do something, one for Ukraine, one through Claudia, and trusted her, like it really became like something quite special. So like, I'm aware like we're gonna talk, I'm sure you're gonna ask me a lot of technical questions and things, where that's what a lot of people are interested in. So I thought I'd just like show some things just to show that, while I'm known for making work out of denim, it's not the be all and end all of me. I'm a lot deeper than that. And, you know, first and foremost, I like to think I'm an artist. When people call me a denim artist, I get really upset. I'm just an artist, and it's just my medium, it's my paint. Sometimes it is, you know, because I have actually still got a show at Sweden at the moment. I probably should point out if anybody in Sweden or by Norway, the National Textile Museum of Sweden, which I think you showed the video before as we were coming in. And you know, that's their textile museum. It's near Gothenburg in Borås, and it's actually my proudest show. It's actually really good, really well lit. But because of showing in a textile museum, I did a body of work which I really wanted to do for many years, which was kind of how I started doing the famous faces. I have lots of friends who make like artwork out of different materials, and we all started with different faces, and we all kind of like trying to distance that. I went full circle. I've been asking, you know, denim experts, famous denim designers, just everybody, even in the museums, who is your denim legend? So I'm actually asking it in this museum too, because who am I to choose? You know, I know, like, of all these years of working with material, I've gotten like really sucked into the industry and read the books. And I love, you know, because my history, I used to do advertising back in the day. I can't do it for myself, but I was amazed by seeing Marilyn Monroe, Brando, James Dean wearing jeans, Elvis wearing jeans that made other people copy. Like I was saying before about you know, going back not many years ago, wasn't it? Before the Berlin Wall came down, you know, in the Eastern Bloc, Russia banned jeans. And there's always semiotics with it, but it's also fascinating to think of what made jeans what it is today. So I'm asking, maybe some of the people here could say who their denim icon is, think of someone strange, you know, because I've got the top 4, which I just mentioned there, but then I'm having 57. So some I've already done the portraits of, they're hanging in a museum here, will eventually get taken out, and some will come in, and I'm asking people, and if, you know, if some names are going to be mentioned a lot, I've got to take it seriously. I have got my short, long list now. Some which I'm fighting for, and some which are completely people are lost for history. Maybe some of your viewers here, you know, someone I'm fighting for is Montgomery Clift. I don't know if you remember him. You know, he was big. He was bigger before Brando, and he was someone that I only knew because of this denim story, and he was known for wearing denim. You know, people copied, not in the same way as James Dean and things. But Marilyn's there because she was there wearing a, you know, denim jacket, a Storm Rider on the set of Misfits, and that was, I think, one of her last films, if not the last film. But she was on the set wearing this jacket, and all the women wanted to copy her and have that look. I'd recently found that it wasn't her jacket; it must have been called. She was wearing Montgomery Clift's jacket, so I thought,
okay.
One of the biggest names, but hasn't, you know, he hasn't have this legacy the same as, you know, the other one, which, you know, sometimes can be big and stuff.
So if people have legends in denim that they would like Ian to consider, put it in the chat, and we will send them over to Ian to add to his growing list of legends in denim. And I wanted to, because we've had a wonderful time with you. I want to get in my questions. So I want to start with the beginning. What was the first piece you made using denim?
That's actually a great piece because it leads on to what I just said about the legends. So I did over a weekend, I made quite simple pictures. The first one was Debbie Harry, then James Dean, Marilyn Monroe. I never intended for it to be this. I was interested in it because I saw a pile of jeans and I thought, wow, I'd just done a portrait of Tony Blair out of newspaper, and I thought, my old jeans, which couldn't fit anymore, I could use the same principle. So sometimes I get caught on TV and say, oh, I was going to take them into a charity shop. I didn't, I cut them up. I need to point out that charity shops are overwhelmed by how much secondhand clothes. The easiest thing for me to do is the saddest because it's so easy for me to source denim. It's really, really sad. So let's put that aside for a second. So the first one was Debbie Harry. And sometimes to students I say that differently because I made it on my bedroom floor in when I was a student, and just a few years later I actually got asked to do the real portrait and get to meet Debbie Harry and Blondie and become friends with Blondie the band and design some jackets for them. So that was so that's great. So like there's, you know, sometimes like I'm always stressed, really busy, and you forget some of the great moments you've had. So that was great. I mentioned James Dean. I wanted to be a street artist. When I got back to this, I thought I was going to be a street artist with Denim, but the one of James Dean hung in his hometown in Fairmount, Indiana, which I'm sure you've all been to. It's a great little place, actually. And I got to meet his cousin and like a lot of people in the town. And, you know, that's what I love about what I do. Like I managed to travel the world and go to places which, you know, often I wouldn't even think of, but get to see places with the locals and, you know, go to people's birthdays parties there, and, you know, just go to the secret bars which are down the street of restaurants or people's houses for dinner. It's such a nice way to see the world. So yeah, the one of James Dean hung outside, and the idea for me was for them to take a picture of it every month. They didn't. It stayed for 3 years in the third year because it got direct sunlight in the afternoon. I put some protection on, but I always said it was going to fade, and suddenly it faded quite a lot because the stretch denim around the canvas. So sometimes that's a question I get, is I stretch denim, so I call it denim on denim. Stretch denim around the canvas around it, and that because it was washed once, because back in those days I used a little bit of bleach on the back, so I washed it, but it had kind of like a full load of indigo in it, so that fade rather than like other, you know, like this jacket wouldn't fade so much more because it's, you know, it's had most of its fade. So yeah, I mean, if you have any questions and things.
So I have one more question. And this is more going to the themes that you explore in your art, not only behind closed doors, but a lot of your work seems maybe melancholic. There are very few people, or if they are, they're not necessarily interacting with each other. There are no animals. And I just wanted to ask you to talk a little bit about what subject matter seems to call to you as this is what I need to create in my art?
I think it was because I never like to force anybody to, because people see the work and see it differently. It has recently been brought to people's attention through themselves that I think, is it you? And obviously I put myself into the work and stuff, and like behind closed doors, it's all women. It's not physically me, but there was an element of me in there. And I think, well, because I love cities, but I find them very lonely places for a lot of people. And it was just this little thing where I wanted people to you know, I'm also someone, if I went in a bar and I was with a few friends and I saw someone sat alone, I can't handle it. I really can't handle it. So like, even when I went backpacking years ago, there's always people alone, and sometimes I managed to get them to join us and it became best friends, and other times people are like, Ian, why did you invite that person over? So it's the different layers, and there's melancholy, you know, often, you know, by accident, some people link it to Hopper, you know, especially night folks. If I want to be honest, back in those days when I was in the pubs, I was thinking like, well, I want to show the pub and I don't want many people in because I don't want to have to do all that work. But it was that kind of lonely to kind of bring people in, to make people think, what is that person thinking? You know, and there's an element of that. As I said, I like cities. I like the layers of cities. I see denim as a very urban fabric from what was a very rural fabric. In fact, it's Levi's 150th birthday next year of the 501. How old it is. And, you know, when we talk about sustainability, people, like lots of people used to wear them. It was strong, it was sturdy, where our relationship with jeans is different now.
Yeah. Well, thank you. I love hearing about how part of what you are drawn to is the lonely figure in a urban environment, but that one of the most recent projects was the one that you did with your son, which was all about connecting people. So thank you so much, Ian, for sharing with us today. It's been fascinating to see all the different places visually that your art has taken you. I wish we could keep talking, but we're out of time. And I really, really appreciate your being willing to talk with us from the museum in Osnabrück. And just thank you so very much.
Well, I've got to rush off as well, but if anybody had more questions which didn't get answered, then we can send them directly or through you, and we can work out a way to answer them.
That's right. All right. Well, thank you. And thank you all for being with us today. To answer the most frequent question that popped up, Ian is attaching his cut denim using some kind of industrial wood glue onto stretched denim canvas. The piece behind him is in the museum in Osnabrück, and it is a series that he's done that are free hanging installations that reference gardens and flowers, and everything is made out of denim. If you stay on, we're going to play that first video again. And this is showcasing the work that is on exhibit right now in the museum in Sweden, which includes those legends of denim that he talked about. Thank you again for being here with us today, and join us next week.
So I'm Ian Berry, and this is my exhibition, Material World. So for many years now, like for actually over a decade, I've been saying that my work is not about jeans. I'm using this material that is so common, so familiar, but I portray urban landscapes, urban scenes, and what I say the fading fabric of our urban environment. I was obsessed by this idea of these iconic people wearing jeans and people then seeing that and copying. And that fascinated me, thinking of a time before people would wear jeans. Most of us go to the wardrobe and pull out the jeans without thinking why. So the opportunity to at Textile Museum led to the opportunity to think of a material as well. So that's why I set up this project called Denim Legends, where I've been asking a lot of the famous denim designers, historians, who are their favourite denim legends. I'm going back over history, and it's not lived history. So that's why I'm asking a lot of people who lived during that period, like their memories. All these bands, but it was the necessity that they were all moved to New York to do something. And no one was from a rich background, and often they wore ripped jeans because that's all they had. They had to put it together because they had no other clothes. Making it up and not caring, and I kind of liked that. I'm working on this project with my friend Lil. She makes these amazing structures where you break the denim down to actually then make it form like wood. And it doesn't just look like wood, it actually has the properties of wood and acts like wood, so it's sustainable but also like very, very nice in a design sense. The other collaboration is with my friend Jonathan Christopher, who is a Dutch designer. He takes some of my work and makes a garment inspired by that. There's many denim geniuses in the world, but at the end of the day, most pairs of jeans haven't changed for 150 years. It's 5 pockets, it's got rivets, but it's nice to work with a designer who can think of denim in a different way. I'd like to think that visitors will come. You might see it in this video or in a magazine or a book, but my work is nothing until it's seen in real life. You've got the layers, you've got the textures. I like to bring installations, immersive experiences in, because I have noticed that there's something in the jeans which draws people into my work. Even if people don't realise my work is made of jeans, it's something that draws them in. And as I said, I'm pushing the technique to try and show that it's not jeans, it's not all about jeans. But for me, there's even something in the jeans, the fades, the shades, the history of who wore it, which is very exciting.